Yo, what's up guys? How's everyone doing? Let's get this mic up a little bit closer. Guys, how are you? Tell me again, please. Is the audio okay? How is the video? 52 viewers. Shout out to everyone here. And of course, make sure you smash those likes as you are coming in here. Wow, okay, so it has been, it's been an interesting day. We've been asking for it. I mean, in our VIP chat, someone literally put the gif of like a person poking Bitcoin saying do something, which I found really funny. I mean, I didn't say it in the chat, but I knew, you know, asking for that was a mistake, so I'm gonna blame that on you. I forgot who put that in the chat. But, you know, what we got going on here, guys, today is, you know, we had the 7th rejection of... Is this the 7th? I'm going to have to count now. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, the 7th rejection of the 6,800 line. What was this? Within 30 days now. It's now the 30th day that we've been below $7,000. Good audio and video. Great. Thank you, audio. Thank you very much. Snowball Mining. What's up? So... you know, we've had this kind of, we've had this play out so many different times already. And, you know, what we've had is 3 rejections, all being wicks. So, all done just by the bots to liquidate positions. And, it's followed through. So, we've got the first test here, second, third, and then a big dump. Alright, and that's exactly what happened many weeks ago now. Maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks or something now, maybe 4. Where we had 3 wicks going up, followed by a dump. Alright, so this was completely expected. And guys, last night on stream I told you about the volume, how what we had going on. Take off this Ichi cloud and the MA. Wrong MA. Where is it? Here it is. What I mentioned yesterday, guys, is with the exception of you know, this final candle, we have had a declining volume as we've been climbing up. So I had this vertical line in place right here, which is when it began to become a little bit concerning. And what we've seen is continuously declining volume within this mini uptrend. And so I did say that the chances of us going down were looking pretty high at the time. I was still overwhelmingly neutral. And guys, you know what? I still am right now. So the key levels have been 6,400 and 6,800. And the whole time that we've been between those two levels, nothing, you know, there have been no positions to take on. But as you now know, we're now below 6,400. We're now at 6,344. And guys, some of you will have noticed, will have remembered that we do have an Ichimoku cloud support right here. So what happened, guys, is you know, we dipped down. We had a pretty serious sell-off. We've now had the bearish EMA crossovers with the EMA 13 crossing below the 48. If you guys watch my EMA video, you'll know all about this and how this can be a pretty serious bearish sign. But, you know, what I posted in the Telegram channel in VIP and Gold, link to that in the description if you're not already in there. What I did post in there, guys, is that we've found some support with this Ichi cloud now, and we could see a bit of a bounce. It was potentially a dead cat bounce. It looks like it was now, because we did go up to about 6,390. We've tested 6,400 and got rejected. This is a pretty bloody red candle here, or of course in this case orange. Now there's an important caveat to note here. First of all, before I go into that caveat there, it's that we've got this green Ichi cloud, guys, and what I would have wanted to see is a very quick and very clean bounce off this Ichimoku cloud support. But that is not what we got. We have been trading within this cloud for, you know, going on, what is this, like potentially 12 hours, I don't know, but a very long time. Alright, already 4 hours. We're now into the 5th hour minimum trading within this cloud. And I would have expected, if this was going to be the bottom, that we would go straight back up again. All right, but it hasn't happened. And what I mentioned in one of the previous streams with you guys is that this Ichi cloud, all right, we've had this red cloud acting as pretty good resistance. And so the formation of this green cloud, I mentioned that it might not be a very good indicator because we are still in a downtrend and we are on the 4-hour chart. And so we can give it a bit of credit. It may have resulted in only a short-term bounce, which is exactly what we got. but it might not have meant, it might not be something that gives us definite support. And in this case, we will have to wait and see how this plays out. I don't think we're going to be trading within this candle for too long, but the fact that we haven't reversed and bounced off already tells me that we are going to be in for a little bit more blood. Now, if we go over to the hourly chart, what we've got here is a bit of a, like an N, I guess, if we're going to talk about shapes. And typically this kind of a pattern will tell us that we're going to go up now. All right, so that would be part of the bots, and I'm not entirely sure how or why. It's something to do with the bots. My best guess has been that they're testing the lows and testing the highs for liquidity, and it is possible that there's going to be a better chance to raise liquidity if we do test upwards. Now, obviously, we know that's not the case because we look at the longs here, and they have definitely gone on a bit of a dip, but there's a long way left for them to fall. All right, so it has, it's got a long way left. We go over to the shorts, and let's pull this up, and there's a long way to go up. So they have been rising a little bit. Put this on a 4 hour maybe, and there's a long way up. There's a bit of a short, pretty big resistance here on the 4 hour, but of course we can't really go into in-depth TA using the shorts and longs. But what these are telling us, guys, is that we are in for a lot more movement going downwards to liquidate these longs, and that would result in shorts climbing as it happens. It's very hard to say. What this hourly chart is telling us from past experience is that we are going to go up, though. It would make sense if we look at the Ichi cloud here. It would even make sense if we consider the inverse head and shoulders, which I will paint right now and show you how that's playing out. Let's say it's the bottom. This would work. All right, this would mean that we have formed an inverse head and shoulders, and we are going to be on our way up to break 6,800. I made a post about sentiment quite a while back. I think many of you will be new and might have missed it, but what I said is that we're seeing these pumps over small numbers. All right, so I posted this when we went to about 6,400, when we were down at 58. All right, so I made the long signal over here and the close signal over here, which was I don't know, like a 2x or something, I forgot now. Of course, that did hit VIP, so if you guys are interested, definitely join the free group and then message me. I do leave my name at the bottom of all of those posts. But what I mentioned in that post is that we only went up by about $600, and we've seen utter euphoria. I mean, people talking about all-time highs again. The same thing is true when we tested 6,800. We've been going up, and people are now talking about all-time highs again. People are now talking about how we are ready to really rocket up, and these are over very small movements. All right, we look at the lows that we had just a few weeks ago, and that's only not even $1,000 up. And we now consider going down. We've gone down by about $400, and we're now looking at complete, a very dismal market. All right, a lot of kind of already depression, just given this little drop here, and suddenly the targets are no longer 7,700, and it's now 3,000 and 4,000 and these kinds of things. Yeah, I'm seeing less talk of 3,000 now, but we're still getting very low targets, and it's this thing about sentiment. It's rubber banding so much. It's going from euphoria to depression just like that with the click of a finger, and it's very, very scary, because what that means is if we get a sell-off, the sell-off is going to be extreme. I mean, this kind of emotional rubber banding, it's gonna snap. All right, it's going to snap. And when it happens, it's not going to be very fun. I mean, we're going to see a very big capitulation session there. There's going to be a huge red candle, I think, if we do end up going lower. And this is probably going to be if we go below 5,800. So if we first of all drop this Ichi cloud support, that's a very bearish sign, and in fact it will be at this level that I'm going to start considering really moving a lot more into fiat, into into Tether, basically hedging. And I'm only going to leave a small balance left to short it on the way down, because you see, the thing is, of course, it's going to be bad for the bag holders, but on the way down, guys, I mentioned this so many times, if we are to go down to levels like 4,000, like 3,000, the profits, if we short it now, are going to be absolutely huge. Just insane profits. We haven't seen anything like it. If we go down that low, the shorting opportunities will be huge. And to be honest, if we're looking at just in a very selfish way, just, you know, just for me, obviously I'm going to be margin trading no matter what happens. Like I say, if it goes up or down, I can still make these profits. It's going to be a very, very lucrative opportunity. Even if you were to sell now and buy back in about $3,000, we're still looking at a 50% gain of your Bitcoin holdings. And guys, if you do believe that the markets are going to return to all-time highs, and I don't see a reason why they won't, we're talking about a huge gain. I mean, you've now set yourself up extremely well, even if you can't trade on leverage. So that's my take for the sort of very long-term worst case scenario. As it stands though, you know, right now what we need to see is what happens with this cloud. I would have liked to see a bounce already. It hasn't come. Not a good sign. So what it looks like we might see is a continuation down to about the prior low, which was our left shoulder, and that would put us down to 6,150. We could find a bottom over there, somewhere between 6,150 and the mid 6,200s. These have been levels that I've seen thrown around a lot on Twitter, and it does make sense to mean that we have hit a bottom. There's obviously a lot of trading action going on here. If I turn on my VPVR indicator, we can see that this bar for volume does really pick up around the 6,100 area, and so it would make sense that this turns out to be an old resistance turn support, or just support being support again, rather, my bad. And that could mean that we hit a bottom and then we complete our inverse head and shoulders. It definitely wouldn't surprise me. Mark asking, why is the 4-hour cloud better than the daily? It is not better than the daily. The daily Ichi is definitely more important, but we're nowhere near the daily Ichi cloud right now, so there's no point really looking at it, apart from reminding yourself that we do have a lot of resistance that's going to take some very, very special circumstances to get us through it. But the 4-hour, on the other hand, is a much more you know, up close sort of time frame, and we can see how Bitcoin's trend has respected it quite a lot. So that's why I'm into this. BCK, smash the likes. Thank you very much. If you guys could smash those likes, 300 viewers there, absolutely awesome. And you know what? I mean, apart from that, that's pretty much all we've seen today. I mean, we've seen a massive sell-off. I want to look at the volume real quick. Make sure I've got the most up-to-date information. I mean, this volume, this is actually a good sign, all right? You know, yesterday I said that the volume was bad. It was about $11.3, $11.5 billion in 24 hours. And what we've seen now is only an increase of about $3 billion. And I say only like it's nothing. It's still a very big deal. I mean, if we look at percentages, that's still, I don't know, something like 20% volume going up. But it's still not, it's not even above 15 billion. It's not even in going into the 20s. And so what that tells me is there isn't much steam backing this sell-off. And if we do look at the other green candles, we can see that the bulk of this sell-off on the 4-hour candles has not even reached levels of our buys as of late. So that is a good sign. It does, this does back up that theory that we could be in an inverse head and shoulders, and we could just be completing that sort of level. And backtracking to where I gave you a bit of a rant about sentiment, how it always worsens and improves so quickly. The thing I want you guys to take away from this, being viewers of my channel, which I appreciate so much, is that I don't want us to fall into the same traps that most of the market does. And we've done a very good job of that. I mean, just reading these comments, we don't have as much of a loser's mentality that most of the market does have. And that's great, and I want it to continue. I want to make sure, maybe it's 90% of you. Let's get that up to 95 and even 100% of you that have the right mentality to make profits in these markets. And that starts with not losing your mind over small moves like this. This drop from 68 to 64 is at most, a 4 or 6% move. It's, for Bitcoin, it's really nothing. And let's not blow it out of proportion. I mean, okay, we've been in this pattern for 30 days. It's extremely tiring, so you see constant like 0% gains or losses, and so you want some action, and suddenly you get a 4%, 6% move and it blows you away. let's stay grounded. Let's remember what kind of moves Bitcoin does have. This, what we're looking at, is not a big deal. I'm very tired of seeing so many people message me about, you know, what are my thoughts now, or has it changed? Literally like a minute after I post my update. You know, let's not lose on. I mean, you know, if you're stressing about this too much, it's time to divert your attention to something else. This is not a big deal. You know, it's not. I mean, okay, we dropped support, but we expected it. We had 7 rejections of 6,800. We had declining volume. We had so many bearish factors with the TA. And even if we were to go above 6,800, we've also expected that, because we had the futures reversal, we had the triple bottom, we had the ETF news. Alright, so none of these moves should have surprised you. If they have, you need to reconsider how much time you're spending at the computer screen looking at these charts. You're not doing yourself any help. That's my personal take on this. Sell all altcoins now. I mean, mate, if you're still holding altcoins, I do feel so sorry for you. I've been calling that altcoins don't interest me for weeks on end now. And as I've been doing it, alts have continued to see much bigger losses than Bitcoin and than the rest of the market, really. You know, bigger than, you know, the big three. If you're still in alts, I don't get it. You know, you might have a bit of an affinity with alts. You don't want to let go of them. I get it, but, well, I said I don't. I understand that aspect. But let's be real, you're playing with money now. I mean, this is real money. These aren't monopoly notes or whatever, right? This is not how you make money in a market like this, by having such a huge emotional attachment to your electronic coins. It's ridiculous, quite frankly. Look, if Bitcoin is gonna fall further, you know, I want to pull up the ICX chart, which is absolutely just so sad. I mean, if we look at the daily, ICX is at its final support. All right, we turn on VPVR here, and it's such a dire look for ICX at the moment. I mean, I feel so sorry for anyone who's held it from these levels. I mean, I sold it way back up at the latest peak we've had, and this is around about where I started giving the signals to sell alts as well, because when Bitcoin drops, alts will drop harder. And so, guys, if we do see this green cloud on the 4-hour being breached, and we go below the green cloud, you better believe that alts are going to follow and see much worse results than Bitcoin. If ICX drops this final support, and it's going to follow Bitcoin, so if Bitcoin does, so will ICX, there is no floor. I mean, you could say that you have a 50% loss, and then maybe you have some retribution, but I don't think so. You know, we look at another one that's just completely fallen off a cliff. I mean, it's literally like there's no bottom for one now. There is no bottom. I mean, the only bottom for one is 0. I hate, you know, it's not FUD. I'm gonna get someone saying I'm spreading FUD. It's not FUD. It's just TA, right? Something like Bitcoin, we have a lot more historic data to go off, but you know, give me any other coin. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just you know, figuratively name any other coin, and it's the same case that we're seeing over here. So yeah, no, I think alts are a waste of time, and I've been saying it for weeks. So that hasn't changed at all. I don't feel sorry for the shitcoiners, lol. You know what? I don't want to feel sorry for them, but I still kind of feel like I have to, because I've been in that position before. I'm just preaching the lessons I've learned. Yeah, I mean, you could say they brought it on themselves, though. Head and shoulder needs volume confirmation. I completely agree, Edgar, and volume is not something that we have on our sides right now, so it is very concerning. It could just be that Bitcoin negates that, you know, that factor that it needs. And it turns out that, you know, Bitcoin doesn't need that volume to complete this head and shoulders just because Bitcoin does whatever the hell it wants. That's not a very sound argument in my opinion, but it might work. We will only know in hindsight. Personally, like I always say, I'm not giving the head and shoulders much validity. personally, coming from me. But the more we go on, especially if we get a bounce here, this head and shoulders has played out to be a very nice pattern to trade. And again, we will only know in hindsight, but I think if the next candle we get is blue, or potentially we go down to levels like 6,150 and then we see a bounce, that would definitely complete this inverse head and shoulders. And as long as we get big volume on the breakout up, that's going to be a massive long opportunity. If we don't, I'm just going to look for the next resistance level. In this case, that would be 7,800, 7,700, and I'm just going to short it, because if there's no volume following that, that is in my opinion, our final chance for Bitcoin to end the downtrend. And if it doesn't work, I'm out. I mean, the only thing I'm going to be doing from then on is shorting. It's ran out of chances, I think, in the long term, if this doesn't play out, or shall I say in the midterm. So really, it's a case of almost crossing our fingers and hoping it does happen. But like I say, even if it doesn't, we will still make those good profits. Many alts are scam. I mean, I completely agree with you, DH. I mean, we're not even going to remember most of these. You're a lot kinder than I am. Yeah, maybe. Do you normally need a big bounce to signal a reversal, or not always? Very good question, Alex Tech. No, you don't always need it. So if we look back to February the 6th, that is where we had a massive V-shaped correction going up. So we don't need, I mean, this is an example where it has happened, but we've also had a reversal like this. Granted, this was, bot action. It was a massive short squeeze, but we don't need to have such an instant bounce back up. It's not necessary. And I think, like I've been saying quite recently with Bitcoin, what I think we're really going to see is that instead of having a big bounce that's going to completely end our downtrend, instantly, what we're going to see is a very small, gradual, not small, I don't know why I said small, we're going to see a very gradual and slow beginning of our next uptrend, and I don't know when that's going to come. I think, I still think we've already seen the bottom. I do think we are going to either bounce back up from here or go a little bit lower and then bounce back up. I do think that we've already started that slow ascension, but of course I could be wrong, and none of this is financial advice, as you all know from the various disclaimers I put around. Mastermind, how long have I been trading? I've been in this since May 2017. You can watch my video about how I started crypto trading. You'll like it. Been in here since May 2017, made my stupid mistakes, and here I am avoiding them now. What good exchange for margin trading in the US? Radiant Jumper, there is no exchange for margin trading in the US, as far as I know. You can get around it doing various illicit things, which I'm not going to recommend. I do know of people who have been doing it, though. There is a chance that you might lose your funds if you do it. So you need to stay aware of that. So we've got Rex Mentula. Of course, the bottom's in. The history indicates that. I don't think the history indicates it as much as maybe you're coming off as confident in that comment. But yeah, I do agree with you though. What is this, like a 71% drop? Historically, Bitcoin has had drops like this and then recovered, so that would make sense if 71% is the low of this trend. Henry should probably delete that comment, mate. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Bitcoin follows hot sunny weather in the UK since weeks. We need some HTO to grow again. H2O, my bad. Piotr, yeah, man. Do you know what? I'm blaming this one on Boris Johnson. Or we could blame it on Trump coming here in a few days. No one wants him here. Let's blame it on Boris Johnson, though. Can you look at the charts from last year before the hike up to 5,000? For sure I can. I'm not sure what you want me to say about it, though. I mean, really, this is just a kind of straight ascension, right? I mean, every point looks like a bubble pop. So this is why it's impossible to call the tops. I don't know what you want me to say about it, Fashad. If you can expand on that, I'll definitely go into it. 76% low. Is it 76? I thought it was 71. Let's actually check that out, because it is quite important, I think. Even going down to 80% would mean like a further 2,000% drop. It would not be nice. So down to our low. That's, yeah, that's a 71% drop, give or take, maybe a couple decimals. Oh, okay, so US can use Kraken for 5%, 5 times leverage. I didn't know that. And 5 times leverage, to be fair, is very good. I mean, it restricts you, so I guess that kind of sucks compared to BitMEX, which doesn't. I mean, you go up to 100, but 5x is great. You know, if you play if you go in with 1 Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes up by 1,000 and you long that, you've made $5,000 of profit rather than 1,000. So I mean, that's a 5x gain. You can't argue with that. I think that's great. You know, your chances of a liquidation go down quite a lot. Very good system. At what point do you recommend we start to dollar cost average into Bitcoin? Bal Singh, I will never recommend you do something. Let's get that out of the way first. When would I personally dollar cost average? Let's talk about that. And I would start... You know what? It's hard to say, actually. I don't have a set number. The first number that came into mind was below 5,000. But I trade this by the day, right? And so my approach isn't to dollar cost. I'm not... I say I am an investor, and it's not true. I'm not an investor, I'm a trader in this market. So I'm going to be trading it by the day as it goes down. I'll be shorting it when it goes down and longing it when it goes up. And so dollar cost averaging is more of an investment thing. It's where you go in very slowly, you average out a very good entry, and then hopefully you sell at a peak. And that's not where I shine. I'm not a very long-term player in this game. I mean, I've been in for a year, and a year in crypto, like I always say, is like several years in conventional markets. But I don't know, man. For you, it depends where you think the bottom is. So you might just want to sit this out, and you might just want to set, you know, okay, if we go above $10,000, I'm definitely going to buy in, and then you keep on raising that. That's called a stop limit buy or a stop market buy. You know, when we go down to like 5,000, you say, well, okay, if it goes above 6,000, then I'm buying, because at least you know you're already buying in an uptrend. So that's one strategy you could do. Edgar, yeah, don't pay attention to short term. Have to be patient. The long run is the important thing. I mean, I'm gonna disagree with you on that, because BitMEX trading with this kind of volatility, you know, you want to use relatively high leverage numbers like 10, 15, 25x. You can make very, very good profits in the short term. And like I said, June has been my best month of trading ever since I got in 15 months ago. So you can make a lot of money in the short term. If you're taking a long-term approach, that's being more of an investor, and that's completely fine. But to say one of them is wrong, I think that's wrong, because there are various different approaches to this market. You're sounding like a Bitcoin maximalist. I am a Bitcoin maximalist. I've said it many times publicly. Four Flies, are you any trades at the moment on Bitcoin? No, I'm not. I don't have any open positions. I have sold Bitcoin on the way up. I even gave the VIP signal to sell right at the top here when we were about 6,700, maybe a bit higher than that. So we have been hedging against the falling Bitcoin. So I don't have any open positions at the moment. I'm very happy with where I am right now, just watching and seeing what happens, especially, like I said, with this Ichimoku cloud on the 4 hour. I'm very content just to see how this plays out, and yeah, you know, see what happens here. Michael, if you're day trading, yeah, but holding long term, obviously, yeah, of course. And day trading and investing, holding are two completely different things. You can't put them together. And my channel has been predominantly just about day trading, you know, not really within days, but across days. I think that is what day trading is called anyway. People get confused with day trading and intraday trading. Intra meaning within days. So yeah, I'm more of a day trader. What's the difference between a Bitcoin maximalist and a Christian fundamentalist? Well, Rex, I mean, one of them is a Christian, and the other one doesn't really, you know, allude to any religions. Yeah, Zaza, Bitcoin maximalists believe Bitcoin will be The only one cryptocurrency. You're not a Bitcoin maximalist. Educate yourself. Zaza, no, I do believe out of all coins, Bitcoin has the strongest chance to survive. I'm not immediately saying that the rest of these coins will perish, but you better believe anytime I'm trading these coins, I'm doing it to acquire more Bitcoin. I don't really care about the rest of the alts, save for a few like Litecoin, Ethereum, and maybe a few others like Neo, maybe if I'm being generous. But I'm only flipping alts. I'm only trading on BitMEX to accumulate more Bitcoin. That's the only way I see it, because the long-term future for Bitcoin, like I went over in my mega bull run video, I can see easily big numbers in the future. No, Rex, I didn't know what you meant. Is there a chat group we can communicate with you and each other? All I've found is Telegram. You only send messages out. Yeah, good question, Funny. There is a Discord group which you can find by scrolling up in gold. If you press Control F, let me just pull up that link for you right now. I have got this Discord group. It's not very active. I did expect it wouldn't be active, because I don't really know why. Actually, it was a fairly good idea, I think, but it's a pretty dead chat. But if you guys want to give that some life now, I will not contest to that. Tried to gain Bitcoin, made 2 Bitcoins just from the dip last night. That is absolutely huge, DH. Nice work on that. Nice work on that, yeah. 2 Bitcoins. Check ADA, Zoran. I mean, ADA is going to be the same story as the rest of these, mate. I'm not sure what you expect to find that's going to be different. You know, this Elliott wave I put out, I streamed many days ago now about this. We had a massive run up, and I called the top exactly where it topped out. This is just a classic downtrend movement, going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and now down to 5. So it is following this pattern very well, and really, you know, where we are right now, there's no support. You know, the next support comes around, if we even want to count the wick, which we shouldn't, but that is, we're looking at another potentially, what, like 25% drop from here. 25% drops, as it sounds, might not seem like much, but you know, you got to bear in mind, from all-time high, we've already seen, what, like an 80% or 60% drop, I don't know, but a huge drop. ADA is not looking good, my friend. None of these alts are looking good. None of them, without exception. Maybe, okay, well, maybe a few exceptions, but none of the alts I'm seeing you guys mention. AGI I've never heard of, so I can't chart that, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, you know, I'm pretty much I've gone over everything I wanted to. I've also gone through your questions. That's my take on Bitcoin right now. I want to see what happens with this 4-hour Ichi cloud. If we bounce up, that's very good confirmation. Even if we go a little bit lower and then we bounce up, again, very good confirmation. The only levels I'm going to look at taking action here are below 6,000. All right, that's going to be a massive shorting opportunity, or above 6,800. So I did say 6,400 would be that cutoff level, and at this stage I would begin shorting and starting making profits on the shorts. But as it stands right now, we still have this ambiguity with the support. We have stopped over here. It could very well turn out that this is just a brief break, and then we do continue the sell-off. And again, that would be fine, depending on where we end, depending on, you know, is 6150 the bottom, that kind of a thing. And if it is, that's a very good sign. It means we will probably complete out this inverse head and shoulders. So it really just depends on where this goes right now, and accordingly, especially judging by the volume, to see how much conviction is backing these plays. We will be able to make some moves. And just one final note on the volume, actually, I forgot to mention, I did pull up the volume numbers, but I didn't say this, and it's that we have had, you know, very low volume, about 11 billion up here, and now down, sorry, up to 14 billion as we're down to these levels. And again, these levels aren't huge, so without much volume backing this kind of a dump off, it is a good sign that we could reverse and go back up. You've got to bear in mind the other probably $11 billion in volume is just standard movement with nothing really interesting. I mean, that's just the normal trading volume that takes place with everyone buying and selling between $1 of trading price. Whereas we've had an extra $3 billion added into this 24-hour volume, and it's probably only those $3 billion that took part in sending us down here. So I'm sure that must have flown over many of your heads right there. That was probably very confusing, but for those of you who did understand, you'll understand that only $3 billion of trading volume backing this move indicates to me that maybe there wasn't enough conviction behind it, and so what we could see is a reversal of sorts taking us back up. It's very hard to say at the moment, but that is what I'm seeing right now. Juan, I've gone over the Ichi cloud already near the beginning of this stream. What do you think about the alts that are in the top 10? Are they poop coins as well? Steven, I mean, look, we've got bcash and Ripple in here, so, yeah. But, you know, we've got Tether as well in the top 10, which is weird. I mean, if anything, that's a sign of massive weakness in this market. I mean, 2.6 billion, and Neo can't even fight that, so that's really sad. Look, man, I mean, these top 10 coins are going to stay around for a while. Alright, yeah, Nano as well. You know, these kinds of coins, they're going to stay around for a while. But, in general, I would only ever trade these. Even Binance coin, you know, amazing coin, but I would still only ever trade it for Bitcoin. You're going to gain Bitcoin when you see alts moving up against Bitcoin's price, and when Bitcoin rallies and goes up in USD, you're also going to gain in USD, and it goes both ways. So if you lose in Bitcoin, you'll probably lose in USD as well. But I mean, that's my take on it. I mean, why do I trade on leverage? Why do I trade alts? Why do I do any of this? It's because I can see Bitcoin climbing back up very high in the future, and even if that means, you know, 1, 2, even 3, 4 years, doesn't really bother me. All right, because if you're telling me I have to wait 4 years to become a millionaire, I'd be 20 years old. I'm not gonna complain about that. So I don't think you guys should either. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that most of you are below the age of 30, and those of you who aren't, you're still going to be very young. I mean, we haven't got any 70-year-olds here, for example, I think. And 4 years is still a very small price to pay if you're talking about making 6 figures, making even five. I mean, shit, $10,000 is life-changing money as it is. So, you know, let's not lose track of how much you can make if you just stay patient. It's not a very big price to pay, in my opinion. But guys, yeah, with that, I am going to be signing off. I really hope you have found this useful. I hope you've learned something. It's been a pleasure as usual, and of course I will come back to you with these streams every day. Hopefully at similar times. I'm going to go ahead and watch the France-Belgium game in a minute. So I'll see you guys in a second. In a minute. No, in 24 hours. Something like that. So, yeah guys, I'm out. Peace.